Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the top 10 proven best practices to propel your business forward online, brought to you by the Bartoli Consulting Group, information experts, and brand ready media. We've got a great gift for you guys at the end of the presentation, so please stick around to the end for that. And if you have any questions during the presentation, please use the chat function to ask your questions, and we will have questions answered at the end of the presentation. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Kurt Schneid. I'm the executive producer at Brand Ready Media, and I'm really excited to be here with you today to talk about video and how video can be used to achieve your business objectives. But before I go into that, we're going to hear from Adam Levin. He is the CEO of Information Experts, and Adam is going to talk about website design for responsiveness and how that comes into play in communicating and achieving your site's objectives. But before we get to all of that, we need to digitize our assets and get them optimized. And that we're going to turn to Janet Bartoli, and she is our SEO expert. Janet, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Kurt. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. I'm going to talk about how to think differently about SEO as your primary lead and sales generating channel for your business. SEO has just been this long mystical thing many businesses have really put on the back burner. And so my hope is that you leave here armed with loads more knowledge about how to improve your search presence right away. So I'm Janet Bartoli. I'm the strategic search lead for the Bartoli Consulting Group. I've got 16 years of deeply specialized search engine optimization strategy experience. I've built and managed many large-scale SEO programs for clients like StubHub, Verizon, Bank of Montreal, and many others that are listed here. I'm a subject matter expert and educator on the topic. I really love speaking on this topic, and I do so through podcasts and various associations. So before we move ahead too much, how many of you actually know what SEO is? And the reason I ask is, in the year 2020, is apparently not everybody is aware, which is totally fine. In fact, I recently worked with a CEO. She stopped me midway through a presentation I was providing her, and she basically said, what is SEO anyway? And so I thought she was being facetious because I assumed she knew what SEO was. So I explained it stands for search engine optimization, and it is marketing with search engines, and it's a legitimate method for targeting traffic to a website from search engine organic rankings. Now, many of you business owners out here, you're constantly thinking about how to manage your marketing and your sales dollars. And in a very recent study conducted by a well-known digital marketing technology platform, Conductor, they interviewed over 150 C-level and marketing executives. They were asking them about their marketing strategy, specifically this year. Would it be adjusted, if at all, during this time that we're living in? 58% said they would be lowering their budgets. Now, I've actually seen a dramatic decrease in paid search that has been occurring. Even though social media and Google Ads prices are much lower, it's still seen as a bit risky. So 34% said they would be investing more in SEO and other lower cost channels. So what's really exciting is that one of those, in this study here, 66% reported SEO was their top performing channel the previous year. So just in 2019. When I'm speaking specifically about digital marketing channels, they range in paid search, email marketing, content marketing. So all those things we do from a digital marketing perspective, organic search still is the dominant force here. Now, SEO is still the strongest digital marketing channel across all channels. Like I mentioned, paid search, email marketing, other digital marketing methods. It generates the largest share of revenue, no matter what industry you're in. And the simple reason is you're getting the majority of your search traffic through organic because therefore it's generating the largest share of traffic. So if you're in B2B, you get 52% of those of your organic search revenue is coming in from organic search. If you're in technology, it's close to 60%. Now, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about sort of an old way and a new way of doing SEO. And there's many SEO myths out there, many old ways of doing SEO. One of those is hiring inexperienced freelancers or sort of this do-it-yourself method to SEO. You can't possibly know everything about what's actually happening in Google's ranking algorithms and what's actually a best practice in the current year. Another old way is setting up a private blog network, and you may have heard it's called a PBN. It's basically where you hire bloggers to spin articles, and it's really a bad idea, and it has not worked in years. Another old way is launching a new site redesign, then pulling in SEO now, 6 months after it's launched, or never at all. And never considering video as part of your overall content strategy. Another old way is looking at your website as though it were 1998. A brochure site is not a sales generating tool, and so definitely that's considered one of the old ways. Now a new way, fresh new way of really thinking about SEO is starting with leveraging all of the data that you have available to you. Your analytics, any conversion rate optimization, any A/B testing, anything that is informing you about what your customers are looking for. Having an experienced SEO professional run an actual technical audit, because a large majority of your issues in getting your site's pages indexed and ranked starts at a technical level. And without understanding through a technical audit what actually is occurring or creating issues, that's another reason why you really want to get an audit. Determining your customer's buyer journey. Your customer, whether you're brick and mortar, there is an experience. They walk in the store, you ask if you can help them. Your on-site experience is much the same way. That is your storefront. What is the experience you want your customers to have? Are they looking for information when they start their search? Is there information in the form of content readily available in your site that they can consider first before considering to buy? You want to also effectively answer your future customers' search queries. It should be relevant, quality content, and that comes in the form of content strategy. And then the new way also is, of course, improving your website performance. Things like your page speed, how nobody has the patience to wait for a page to load on their mobile phone for 12 to 15 seconds. 15 years ago, they did. Now we're in an age where we don't have patience for longer than 3 seconds. Using video strategically to integrate throughout your current content strategy, leveraging video as a content medium is now important and imperative. And there's a recent statistic from Forrester where they actually said roughly 86% of all content online in 2020 will be video. Now, there's many things we don't have any control over. Many things I have to help educate my clients on. And part of it is, one of the things we don't have any control over is the Google algorithm. Search ranking algorithm is something no one has any control over. There are many people that work inside of Google that don't even know the recipe with which is involved in its algorithm. And just this past week, Google actually went through a major core algorithmic update. And if you're looking closely at your visitation, you may have seen some change or either decline or increase in your search ranking, in your search rankings and in your traffic. Another thing we don't have any control over is our searchers' behavior. Our future customers they have different devices that they're looking on. They're looking at their mobile device. They're in YouTube. They go back and forth from YouTube, maybe to Facebook. So you just need to figure out where is the best place to present your content. Another thing we have no control over is, of course, our competitors. Our competitors are constantly coming up with innovative ways to really kind of reach the same customers. So it's increasingly more important, but this is something we don't have any control over. What we want to do is get ahead of them and not follow them. Now, SEO's changed tremendously in the last number of years. It's really now more about website performance and user intent. It is about how your website performs and the experience that your customers have when they get to your site. It isn't any longer about the single keyword. So many still think that it's about the keyword that ranks, or what's my keywords, or I need to rank for a single keyword. And that is really pre-2013 when Google's algorithm changed. That was an update called Hummingbird. It's gotten way more sophisticated. It does use machine learning to understand user intent. The questions you ask, the locations you're in, when you ask those questions. It's also about more indirectly where website performance, your page speed impacts your user experience. So all of that is considered in your SEO performance. Now, one of my favorite use cases when I was working with one of the top 3 major telecommunications companies a number of years back, in December of this prior year where you start seeing this dip, they invested heavily in a major site redesign. They've also invested in a large management consulting firm to oversee the SEO operation. So they assumed they had the right SEO oversight in place. So what happened was shocking to me because I would have assumed this would have occurred and does occur to much smaller businesses. So I was brought in later in the summer, and there was a senior vice president who was pissed off beyond belief. And I've never honestly seen professionally anybody at that level so aggravated and annoyed because nobody on this team could figure out exactly what the problem was. They were losing 40% of their traffic month over month, and they were told by this consulting firm they were literally spending $500,000 on that. The reason for the decline was that they were missing alternate text around the images of their site. Now that has absolutely nothing at all to do with the reason for the massive traffic decline, but this was what can and does occur when you don't have the right expertise in place at the beginning to manage your SEO through something like a redesign. So this is one of the many examples I have of what occurs when a major site change happens and you don't have SEO oversight. And this is the outcome after I had remediated the issues. It took me about 2 weeks to come up with the root cause of their decline, then working directly with their development teams to manage the execution of those recommendations. So within 6 months, I helped them grow their online traffic to 80%, where they used to spend a lot more on paid search. They were under the notion that spending on paid search, that's where the majority of your revenue should come from. So they flipped it around so that it went from 9% to 30% year over year was really where the majority of their traffic was coming from, then organic. It has since flipped since then. Now, what does typically happen in lots of mid and large size businesses is everyone thinks they have SEO covered, and in fact, nobody does. So over the course of your website's lifetime, there's times in your site you go through major changes. So these are just 3 of the biggest changes. When you undergo a site redesign, it impacts SEO because you might have different code involved in the redesign that can have a negative impact on the way the site is rendered, or whether the design slows down, so you're going to experience potentially page speed issues. A migration is when you might need to move your site from one domain to another. So that's another major change in your navigation. Your product pages may be moving. And so you need to make sure that Google knows about those changes. Just as you would when you move your house. If you sell your house and you move to a new location, you need to inform the Postal Service what your new address is. We do the same thing in using different methods, of course, to inform Google that there's been a change in location. Now, a re-platform is when you change from something like WordPress to another content management system. And so depending on the size and type of the platform, there are certain requirements for things that need to be optimized depending on the platform you can migrate over to. Now, there are so many algorithmic changes that occurs. There's over 400 algorithmic ranking factors. Now, I'm mentioning just a few of those technical ones that we are familiar with and aware of here. So what we do to make sure to improve what matters to Google is improving the user experience, the trust and authority. Each of these has some varying degree of impact. Your site speed impacts your user experience. Is your site mobile friendly and easily accessible for mobile visitors? Google has focused on mobile over the last few years, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit during Adam's presentation. But mobile first is now an approach that is taking first and foremost a front seat from a Google perspective. Your site structure and site architecture, how your pages are navigated and accessed, your SSL certificate of the security of your website, and of course, content. Your content should be relevant, valuable, and of the highest quality that you can provide your customers. And one of the most important things we do for our clients immediately is to establish a very thorough and detailed technical diagnostic. It includes these 12 things here, but I also include an additional 32 items that are not listed. So what we do is we run an assessment so that we can uncover what crawl errors from the search engines exist, what basic best practices might be missing, and then we prioritize those and prepare them for implementation. The diagnostic that I created here was initially developed through some of the larger enterprise sites that I've worked on, but honestly, no matter what size site you have, it may be just a few hundred pages, a very local small business, up through a very large site like a Fiat or a Bank of Montreal. It doesn't matter. All of these same best practices applies. Now, whether you're thinking about going through a migration or a redesign, there's certain things that we help our clients with. And so some of those things is, as I mentioned before, just running a technical diagnostic of the site. Just as you would, you walk into your doctor's office and you complain of back pain, the doctor hopefully won't tell you to go to surgery the next day. You need to run a diagnostic of whether it's a CT scan or an X-ray. We do the same thing to really understand what's the problem or the root cause of the traffic slowdown or problems. We also identify those issues. We prioritize those opportunities from the greatest search impact and the lowest level of effort. We develop a 6-month strategic roadmap. Strategy in your SEO programs are critically important. And then we share that strategy because we don't want SEO to be a siloed activity away from social media or any other marketing activities that you have. And then one of the biggest problems with SEO and the reason why it fails is it never gets implemented. You've got really great recommendations and you never get them implemented. So regular implementation is also critical. And now I'm going to turn it over to Adam Levin. He's going to talk to you about the business value of your website.
Shannon, thank you very much. Very excited to be here, and thank you. So I am Adam Levin. I'm the CEO of Information Experts, a 25-year-old award-winning strategic communications firm. I work with directly with the federal government, large organizations, nonprofits, and associations. And our core focus is on marketing and communications. And more importantly, we sit down with you in your organization to find out where you are now, where you want to go, and then we're going to develop communication tools tied into your business objectives. I personally went to business school. I worked with some tremendously talented web designers and graphic developers and copywriters, but I myself I didn't go to art school. So I want to sit down with you and find out what your business objectives are, and then we're going to develop communication tools tied into your business objectives. And at the end, I'm going to show you 3 samples with specific business goals and how we tie that in by developing a communications program. All right. When we develop any type of engagement, we want to ask 3 questions for you, and this is based on any type of communication tool. We're going to focus on the website right now. But I want to know, I'm going to ask you 3 questions from a buyer's perspective or a user's perspective. What do you want the user to know? What do you want the user to feel? And what do you want the user to do? Okay, so your know equals the what. What do you do? What services do you perform? The feel is what emotion. What emotion do you want that the user to feel? Is it trust, credibility? Define what that emotion is that you want to solicit when they experience your brand. And the do, which is absolutely critical. Before you design anything, you need to know what's the call to action. And the call to action is, do you want them to schedule a demo? Do you want them to pick up the phone? Do you want them to send an email? Do you want them to buy the product? This needs to, before we design anything, these are the 3 questions that need to be defined. So you need to look at your communication tool. Right now we're talking about the website from the user's perspective and specifically the buying journey, and define know, feel, do. And there's obviously other things that are involved with it, but these are the 3 most important questions you need to ask yourself before you design any type of program. All right. This is Information Experts what? These are all the different services that we perform. Okay, so when I'm doing a presentation or a meeting with a client, I want them to know that we can do all these things. Okay, whether it's developing your messaging, your copywriting, developing your website, doing video production, which Kurt will talk about a little later, integrating with your CRM, developing an advertising campaign, a pay-per-click campaign. These are all the different things. This is what information experts can do. So you need to define that from your organization's perspective. What are the different services that you can perform? Next slide, please. Okay, this is critical. All right, now very simply, I'm going to talk about why it's important that your website has a digital certificate or an SSL certificate. They're identical, okay? And people, I'm up and say, you know what? We don't take credit cards. This isn't important to me. And I'm going to say, I'm going to state it's extremely important from when a potential client experiences your brand, and this comes up, you've automatically hurt your trust and credibility. Next slide, please. So an SSL certificate, it is the standard, right? It encrypts sensitive information, it provides authentication, provides trust, and it's required for PCI compliance. Janet, tell us a little bit about if an organization's website does not have an up-to-date SSL certificate, how does that affect SEO?
So because Google has placed an emphasis on trust and authority, it really coincides with looking at the security of your website as a trusted, authoritative website. So it's critically important that you do have this in place. If you don't, your site wouldn't get penalized, but you would suffer a decline in rankings, and maybe your competitor who is appearing more trustworthy could appear higher up in the rankings.
Fantastic. So very simply, go to your website. If it doesn't have an up-to-date certificate, you need to contact your hosting company today. Next slide, please. So now we're going to talk about responsive design. And I'm going to define responsive design. It's simply, it's a way to put together a website so that it automatically scales its contents and elements to match the screen size in which it's viewed. So a responsive design makes your website mobile friendly. Okay, so whether people are experiencing it through a tablet or a phone or on the desktop, it performs equally well in all aspects. So from our design perspective, we're going to design it once and it's going to work equally well on all devices, and then we're going to test it on those devices to ensure that happens. So this is absolutely critical.
Yeah, and just to add in there, so there used to be a number of years back, somewhere around 2013, 14, people were considering, should I be on an MDOT or there were so many different confusing things as to what they should do from an SEO standpoint, how their mobile experience should exist. And so now Google has kind of put the rule down that everybody should be, Google prefers you be within a responsive design, a single site experience, and not having multiple different sites, one for mobile, one for desktop.
Thank you. One of the key takeaways I want you to come away with today is one out of every 2 users will experience your brand and your web presence through a mobile device. I'm gonna say that again, 1 out of every 2. So if you go to your website and look it up on your phone and it's not a good experience, that's a problem. You're actually hurting yourself, and that needs to be taken care of. Okay, so again, it's 1 out of 2, and this is absolutely critical that you experience your brand as a potential client. And if the mobile devices aren't optimized, that's an issue that needs to be fixed. Janet, tell us a little bit about why responsive design is important and how could that potentially affect the SEO?
So as I mentioned in my presentation, mobile first is something in the last 2 years that Google has put forward. And what that simply means is Google will look at your website from your mobile experience first, and then if that's a disaster, it'll then look at your desktop. So previous to 2018, it would always look at your desktop experience. So Now, and again, even more importantly, just as Adam was mentioning, more and more visitors are showing up to your website through their mobile device. And it's almost getting to a point where it doesn't matter what industry you're in, it's they're still looking at your website from a mobile standpoint. And if you look at your analytics, you should start also seeing that trend catching up and or surpassing your desktop traffic.
Excellent. So here's a quick example of a project that we did for a bookkeeping firm that did not have any responsive web design. Their website is about 10 years old. None of their digital assets worked well, and we optimized it. And here's a quick example, and they've had significant increase in their web stats since we've implemented this. Thank you.
And then just as I was mentioning before, mobile first, how do you know if your site's mobile friendly? If you go, wait till we're done, but if you go and Google search Google mobile friendly, you're going to see Google has a site that you can actually put your domain in there, and it does a very quick analysis, and it will tell you very immediately if your site is mobile friendly or not. And so that's just one of the very quick and easy ways that you can see from a Google search perspective how it would look at and view your website.
Excellent. All right, now I'm going to show you 3 samples of organizations that had a key business objective, and we developed a communication tool with their web presence that resolved and achieved their business objective. This is Nexco National, which I am heavily involved with. And their objective here was we wanted to create a benefit to our members where this is a networking group. So our objective is to give referrals to each other and help each other grow our business. And what we wanted to do is we wanted to create a profile where we could then send the links out to prospective clients when we're making referrals. Now, what this did was it expedited the sales cycle because you have their profile, you have their headshot, we created a custom video. So what this does is before you even meet with a potential client, you've expedited the sales cycle because these people already have a background on you. They checked you out. We had a nice, 30 to 45-second video which explains why they should work with them, and it dramatically helps you close new business. So this is very successful. Thank you. Next slide, please. This is another business client that basically was a brand that guy had a great idea to teach people how to secure demonstrations for technology companies. He came to us and he didn't have anything. Okay, but he had an idea in his head. So we developed the content, we developed the website, we did a marketing and advertising campaign, social media, and then the reporting. And right now, he's averaging about 100 visitors per month from 0 to 65 new visitors per month, and he's converting about 20%. Kurt, why don't you tell us a little bit about why the video was important for this client in the success?
Well, thank you. So this was a great example of how to do things right. This guy knew that he had a great product and a service to offer. He knew that there was a market out there that would buy it at the price point that he had it. He just needed to get it in front of the right people. And he came out of Texas. Keep in mind, this guy was in Austin, Texas, and he came to Virginia to film the videos and work with this process because it's a proven process of doing the SEO and designing the site and then coming in with those strategic communications specifically directed to the audience with which he wanted to reach. And he's gotten a phenomenal return on his investment. Just every single week of every month, he's got a funnel that's just generating more and more content, more and more leads, more and more business for him. It's great.
Thank you. All right. Here's a great example of an organization, a growing organization. They originally had their web presence on Wix, which I think is fantastic for coming right out of the box, but I don't recommend it for growing organizations. And I had an opportunity to sit down with the CEO. We developed a marketing and outreach strategy. We developed web redesign, and then launched an entire marketing campaign. And within that, we developed an organic SEO. And within 90 days, this client generated 20 new clients from when we launched. So this is a tremendous success story, and it was done through the implementation of a marketing plan outreach strategy, which included organic SEO. All right, so now I'm going to turn it over to Kurt, who's going to explain and communicate the value of video and why it's absolutely critical to as part of your overall marketing strategy. Kurt?
Thanks, Adam. I appreciate it. And thank you all for joining us here. You know, as you look for the top proven best practices to propel your business forward online, SEO is crucial, and proper site design. These types of things are absolutely essential to the effort that you're doing, which revolves around communication. It's all about communicating your messaging to the people that need to hear it. And that really comes back to what Janet was saying and what Adam looks for is what are your business objectives? And so we use creative video assets strategically distributed to achieve your business objectives. And that's what it comes down to. Some people want to promote or sell. Some people want to attract or make awareness. But we have to first sit down and figure out what that is. And so I'm really excited to be here to help you understand how you can do this on your own. So when we look at video content, from Brand Ready Media's perspective, we really seek out, our mission is to be a partner of yours, your storytelling partners. We want to empower you to reach your goals. And we specialize in generating leads that convert into sales. And we do that by connecting you to your desired customers with compelling content. And that's the key, that compelling content. So how do we get compelling content? Well, let's look at it. We identify your business objectives and your company goals. If you're going to do this, this is the first step. You have to clearly identify what those goals are, and the more specific you can be, the better. Then you look at those goals. Who are the desired markets? Who are the target people for those objectives? Who are we talking to? Who's our audience? Again, the more specific that you can be, the easier it's going to be for us to target them and write copy that's going to speak directly to them. Defining that message. This is more of a skill set. This is a creative thing. Oftentimes when we work with people, they're surprised at what the messages are that reach their ideal audience and then compel them to believe or behave a certain way. Defining your message is really the next step. And then focusing on niche markets. We said earlier, you'll be specific to be terrific. And there's a reason for that. The more niche that you can be, the more identifiers that you can put in your messaging that allows the audience to say, this person's speaking directly to me. I know that you've experienced it in your own life where you felt like, wow, this really speaks to me. And that's done intentionally because you were the ideal client they were trying to reach. Next on the list, we want to align your video content with your production goals. And the great thing about what we do now is that we have analytics. And so we can see what are the results, who's reaching, who's opening, how far are they watching the video, and what adjustments do we want to make to our campaigns for next time. And then, of course, we are here to support you along the way. Some people come to us in the beginning to get set up. Some people have us engaged all the way through. My main goal is to help you understand your business better, your market better, and how to more effectively connect the two. And if that means setting you up and guiding you along the way, that's what we're going to do. If you want us to come in and do some monthly reporting with you, we can help you out in that aspect. But whatever it is that is ideal for your business, that's the relationship we're looking to build. So video content marketing, right? You decide what audiences you want to target. That's the first step. You move on. Now, creating a customer profile, their attributes and their pain points. And really what I'm recommending here, that you try to take yourself and move to the other side of the table, right? Look at your offerings from your ideal client's perspective, right? What are the things that they really want to hear? What are the things that they're really looking to resolve? Understanding your market is crucial to the success of your business. And work to build the know, like, trust by providing relevant content. So video, one of the best things about video is that it allows you to speak personally to your ideal audience as if you were speaking directly to them. And it happens 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Your ideal audience can find you. They can watch video. They can see what you're like and know what your offerings are. So brand awareness, recognition, and loyalty, there are a lot of benefits to video. But I think one of the best things is that it allows us to align our core values with the vendors, with the brands, with the businesses that we want to do business with. And so brand awareness, recognition, and loyalty is one of the best benefits of video. Secondly, we look at it allows you to educate your customers on your capabilities and your value proposition. All things being equal, why would one person or one vendor choose you over everybody else? And what do you have to offer? A video is a great way to illustrate that. Recruiting top talent. You know, this is one of the things, I call it a fringe benefit often, because a lot of our clients will produce a video for a particular purpose. It could be brand awareness. It could be a sales video. It could be a culture video or a team building video. But what they find is that other people got wind of it. Other people saw it and they said, hey, I'm working at this competitor shop. I would rather work over there. It looks like the grass is greener over there. So recruiting top talent, whether that be out of university or from competitors, is a great benefit of using video. Documenting your work product, your past performance, and client testimonials. This has to be the single best benefit that I've seen in my career of using video. Whenever you can document the work that you actually do and the results that you get from people and have them say that in their own words on video, that's where the rubber really meets the road. Your prospects will listen to your pitch. They will look at your site. They will look at your offerings. But when they hear the results from actual clients, that's the tipping point. That's what usually brings a prospect over the edge of the fence and makes them an actual client. And finally, one of the best benefits of video is that it integrates so seamlessly, so easily into all of your other marketing efforts. And so video is really a great thing. It lasts forever. It's cost effective. And it just the ROI, just layer upon layer of return on your investment. Video is really the way to go. So let's review. In honor of David Letterman, we have the top 10 proven best practices to propel your business forward online. Number 10, reduce overall spend and increase investment in low-cost, high ROI channels like SEO. Number 9, work with those things you can control, such as page speed, mobile optimization, migrate traffic loss during major site changes. Number 8, establish your SEO strategy and auditing to improve your business site searchability and customer experience. Number 7, ensure you have an updated SSL certificate. Number 6, enable a responsive website, mobile friendly. Number 5, identify your know, feel, and do. Number 4, connect your company objectives to a video content strategy. The number 3, top proven practice to propel your business forward online is incorporate video into your website. Number 2, effectively cost efficiently, reach your ideal client with target messaging. And the number one thing that you can do, best practice-wise, to propel your business forward online is to set up a complimentary strategy session with Janet, Adam, and myself. You can go to bartoliconsulting.com/strategy and book your strategy session now. I've got a couple things I'd like to leave you with here, some resources. We are going to send out the PowerPoint and the video of this presentation, so we'll get that. We have a couple other things that we'll make sure that you get, that you understand. This is our contact information here, so please make sure to reach out to us if you have any other questions. But at this time, I'm going to open up the floor and go back to Janet Bartoli. Janet, we had a question from the field. John Horn asked, SEO is great, but does it result in more sales? Are you able to measure the correlation? Can you talk to that, please?
Absolutely. And that is one of the number one misconceptions about SEO is it's very easy to tie an ROI from your paid search, because if I put $1 in, hopefully I'm getting $2 out. You can easily see that when you set up paid search. It is far more difficult for most people from an SEO standpoint, but the reason for that is there isn't an organization within your reporting. So if you're using Google Analytics, you can create goals in there, and you can set goals to be all this traffic that starts from organic search comes into my site, and the call to action, let's say, is contact a sales rep. That would be, and whatever your average sale is, and let's say if you're selling software, if it's B2B software, maybe your average sale is $20,000 or $30,000. You can then start looking at how many visitors organically is coming in and actually converting to becoming a sale, whether it's buying something in your e-commerce store or whatever the call to action is. So it really comes from those SEOs that never properly associated the traffic and the conversion. The conversion is key. And so one last thing on that is when you look at, if you do also have paid search, you can kind of also see what your average cost per click is. So for example, if it's $4, you can take that average cost per click in that keyword and see how many organic searches you're getting and generating that traffic. You can also kind of use that as a method for understanding the value that SEO is bringing as well. Hopefully that answered your question.
Thank you, Janet. That's great. Adam, are there things that can be incorporated into the site design that can help track the SEO, where people come from, that actually make the sale, that could?
Yeah, absolutely, Kurt. I think one of the things that we do for our clients is we will run a Google Analytics report on a monthly basis, which will identify how many hits they're getting per month and where they're going specifically within the website and how long they're staying. So I think that is critical when you can do an analysis and then make any tweaks based on the user activity from the website, and we do that on a monthly basis.
Thank you. So this question is from Brian, and he's talking about reading sessions, and I presume this is a question around video. And would it be beneficial to have some reading sessions where you read a segment from a book and then you expound upon it, you talk about that segment, and would that lend itself to success? And I think the answer is absolutely yes. Anytime you use video is going to help in your SEO. It's also going to help promote you out in the world as a subject matter expert. And so if you're pontificating intelligently about a section from a book, you're going to appeal to others who that information is relevant to. And so I highly recommend, if you're considering doing that you start in a simple situation like this. Pick somebody, choose me, and let's have a meeting and let's talk about some of those things, and we can record the Zoom and talk about your lighting and your microphone and get that stuff right before you put yourself out there to the public. I'd be happy to talk to you more about that, Brian. Thanks. Great question.
And Kurt, I think he had the second part of that question was he had legal and licensing issues. And if you specifically need to reference the book at the beginning and say, hey, we're talking about, this is the person who wrote it, this is the author, and attributing that to them, and that you'll be covered.
Unfortunately, I'm not able to speak to the legality of it. I'd be happy to.
In my opinion, you'll be covered.
Yeah. So I could do some research and figure out what that legality might be. But again, I wouldn't have the authority to speak on that at this time.
Sure.
And one other comment on the video and the importance of the #2 search engine is YouTube. So another thing to repurpose those videos that you may have within your site, whether you're talking about a specific product or service that you're offering, it's not too late to establish your YouTube channel. You get a lot of really great organic traffic that way as well.
Excellent. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you very much for joining us here. Our contact information is on the screen. We are offering a complimentary strategy session. I highly recommend you take advantage of it. A lot of work has gone into it, and it's going to be very beneficial to those who do. This is going to conclude our top 10 proven best practices for promoting your business online. My name's Kurt Schneid on behalf of Adam Levin and Janet Bartoli. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks,
Take
guys.
care.
Thank you very much.